guys, it's Rabbit, and I decided that it's been a while since I've done a tag video, so I am going to be making one for you today, and I hope that's okay because for me, I think tags are so much fun and I really enjoy watching them. So this video, obviously from the title, is going to be the tag about my first time doing different things. I actually have a little bit of a list here on my phone. I just need to pull it up, and I've watched so many different versions. I originally saw this by, I think it was Zoella in July, and I'm not sure why it took so long to make my own because I really like this tag a lot. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first question is, what was my first word? And I am not 100% sure what my first word was. I'm pretty sure I could call my dad and ask him what it was. But, I mean, we could probably assume that it was either mommy or daddy. So next question. My first best friend. This one's a little bit difficult to answer because I've never really been that person who's had one BFF, if you will. I've always had either 2 or 3 people that I just considered my group of girlfriends. So if I had to pick one person, there was this girl when I was 6 years old, maybe 7 years old, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be actually naming people, but her name starts with an S, so we'll just call her Susie, although this is not her name. And she just had these long, beautiful blonde curls, and one of my most memorable slumber parties was with her, so maybe this is why I'm thinking of her as my best friend from this age, when she may not have been. But the first memorable experience I had regarding a sleepover was at her dad's house. So her parents were divorced, and he had this little like lake home, and there was a pier that jutted out into this gigantic lake, and it was so gorgeous. And we went out to her father's lake house and played on the pier. We swam, we slept in these hammocks in the evening, and we watched the Three Stooges and ate popcorn, and it was so much fun. And I don't really talk to Susie much anymore, but she looked me up on Facebook maybe a year ago, and so we were able to start reconnecting, and it's been so incredible getting to know her a little bit more by seeing kind of how her life is unfolded, and I'm sure she feels the same way looking through all of my stuff and all of my experiences. So that's been really cool. She was, technically, I guess, my first best friend. So my first crush was probably from the same class that I had with Susie, and we'll just call this guy Mike, and he was this little geeky blonde kid. And I remember we were on a field trip, and it was like a day outing with our classroom, and we went to this farm, I suppose. I can't remember if it was a petting zoo or if it was a legit farm. I mean, I was so young. We couldn't have been more than 6 years old, possibly 5, one of the two. But nevertheless, we'll call it a farm, even though it may not have been as big as I'm recalling. But we went out to this petting zoo / farms place, and I remember Mike was my partner for the day, so we had someone that we had to hold hands with. And I remember we went to this area where you could milk the cows, and he had me lay on my back, and he squirted like the cow's milk into my mouth, and it was really weird, but we had a really fun time. And then he had a nosebleed and got his blood on my shirt, so it was kind of weird, but for some reason, something about that day, I guess it was my first date, I don't know, it was not romantic, but I definitely would say he was my first normal crush. First celebrity crush, this is gonna make me sound like a huge loser, but I'm pretty sure most of you also share the same celebrity crush, or at least your first celebrity crush, and that was Aladdin from the Disney movie. How many of you can say you were not totally into Aladdin? He was adventurous, he was handsome, he was rich, or I mean, at least allegedly, because he needed a genie to be rich, but I was in love with Aladdin. He was gorgeous. My first kiss was actually with Andrew, who is my husband. We've been together for a really, really long time. It's gonna be close to 10 years this January that we've been together. So he was my first kiss. My first career goal or dream, so when I was younger, and even now I would say this is still the case, but definitely when I was like 10 and 11 years old, I really, really wanted to be a vet. It was something that I took relatively seriously, and even when I went through my undergrad, as a lot of you know, I did study multiple things. I ended up with 3 undergraduate degrees before going on to pursue my master's, but I chose a school that had a veterinary school with it because when I went out there, I wasn't sure if I still wanted to eventually get my DVM, which is Doctorate of Veterinary Medicine or Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. It was one of those things that even up until I was 18, I still debated. And occasionally I'll talk to my husband about it and I'll be like, well, maybe I should go back to get my DVM or pursue veterinary medicine. So I'm still not really sure, but that was my first major career goal / dream. And even now, I still kind of am thinking about it. So we'll see where life takes me. My first broken bone. So I've actually never broken any bones in my body, which is really incredible because I've had some really close calls. But my first major injury was I sprained my ankle once playing basketball when I was about 12. And it wasn't even that serious. I've never had to go to the hospital for some sort of like crazy random emergency. So I've been pretty fortunate. No broken bones, just a sprained ankle. My first job was a piece of crap job where I worked with some really, really sketchy people. It was actually at a retirement home, and the job itself wasn't that bad. It was the people that I worked with. So I worked as kind of a waitress, but not really because we had to wear like dress pants and these button-up shirts with little bow ties, and we served the residents, which were all about 60 plus, and it was an interesting work environment because everyone was really nice, and we kind of were like high-end waiters and waitresses, but a lot of the cooks were really bitter, angry people, and so they just seemed to enjoy torturing those of us who seemed to be interested in going off for university and doing all this other stuff. Because I was 16 when I had this job, and I remember one of my friends who also worked there, she was 18 and applying to different schools, and at least 2 of the cooks always gave her a hard time, and they were like, well, if you can even get into any school, or school is so stupid, and blah, 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 why would you go on for more? They were just really negative people, and so it was not a very good work environment, although the job itself wasn't too bad. My first car was a Saturn Scoop. It was bright red and it was so adorable. I actually liked that car a lot, but it was a bit too low to the ground for my taste. I now drive an SUV, which is kind of obnoxious because I'm 4'10". But yeah, that was my first car. The first thing I thought about today. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of a story. Please do not judge me. It is no secret that I am an undercover nerd, and I really enjoy video gaming, both casual gaming as well as competitive. So this summer, there was a really big competition for Dota 2. It was the International, and I didn't get to follow it when it was streaming live just because I had a lot of stuff going on this summer. But I just recently, within the last 2 weeks, started watching all of the video footage of all of the games, and there is a Swedish team that competed and they won $1.4 million. So whoever said that playing video games will get you nowhere, these people just won a buttload of money. But no, seriously, I am in love with one of the guys who's on this Swedish team. His name is Ake, and he is gorgeous. So I've been following him, and his team won, and last night before I went to bed, I read a bunch of his interviews and I watched a couple of his videos where he was like talking about stuff. So I went to sleep and I dreamed about him, and it was a really weird dream where I was sitting kind of in this auditorium, and I guess maybe he was playing a game, and I had this gigantic poster with his face on it, and in the dream, of course, this did not really happen. I approached him as he was like walking up the aisle to go to the stage, and I asked if he would sign his face, and he punched through the poster and then pulled his fist out and continued walking, and I was really upset in the dream. So the first thing I thought about when I woke up this morning, kind of bringing this back full circle, I was a little bit angry because, you know, when you first wake up and you sometimes feel like your dream was actually real, so you're either still upset or angry or scared or whatever emotion you were experiencing. I was really livid when I woke up. I was like, I hate this guy. I'm unfollowing all of his social media networks and blah, blah, blah. But then I was like, oh, wait, it was a dream. I've never seen him live, and I don't have a giant poster with his face on it. So, okay, that's probably more than you guys need to know, but seriously, that's what I thought about this morning when I woke up. Okay, the first person that I spoke to today was my husband. Well, technically not, because I got a text message from one of my cousins, so she technically is the first person that I communicated with, but the first actual verbal conversation that I had with someone was with my husband. First thing I did when I woke up, well, after I was angry about Ake punching through my poster when I wanted him to sign it, in my dream of course, the first thing that I actually tend to do when I wake up is I always get up and I go into our office, because we're in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I lay out my planner, which is such a nightmare, but I'm one of those really meticulous people, and I'm a little bit OCD, so I have little like post-it notes all over my planner, and like for each day I have it mapped out kind of what I want to achieve and what I want to accomplish, and you know, my work schedule and stuff like that. So I tend to open up my planner every single morning and just kind of look at what's on my plate, and occasionally I'll just kind of like say a prayer and, you know, ask God to help me focus on whatever's the most important for that day, especially since I do tend to always put a lot on my plate, and I'll occasionally get overwhelmed and just feel like there's no way I'm going to accomplish all of this in 24 hours. So, you know, just God help me to focus on the 1 or 2 things that really are important for me to do. And okay guys, that is it from me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys want, definitely make this tag as well and let me know that you made it, because I'm really interested in watching what other people have to say. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys are all doing amazing. I've really been enjoying the weather because it's been cool, so it was really cold for about a week and a half span, and then it warmed up, so it's been great because I feel like I can wear scarves but still not have to be dressed in like a parka or anything. So I'm in a good place right now. It's been really amazing. So I hope the same could be said for you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.